very busy, lots of coding. Um, so yeah, things are plugging along nicely.
So we had a big uh, announcement from Microsoft last week. I think that's going to be a large part of our news.
Sure.
We had a little thing called Windows 11 talked about. They had a big Microsoft event, and there was a whole lot of just news around it because it's been revamped and it looks different and it smells different, and there's rumors that you won't be able to install it, and it's got new security features that make older PCs not be able to run it. There's a whole lot of things going on there. So let's take a look here. We've
Yeah.
got, do we have the general announcement?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. We've got a general announcement from Microsoft.
Microsoft announces Windows 11. First of all, why did they call it 11? I don't know why they called it 11, but they went ahead and called it 11, not just Windows, and got over the whole version thing. But hey, at least they didn't skip a number this time. At least they didn't go from like 11, like 10 to 12 or something.
Yeah. I think these releases are kind of redundant at this point. I don't think people really care as much as some corporations and companies think that they do. I think version numbers are kind of expected now, and people have the philosophy in hand when they're talking about various different pieces of software. So yeah, Microsoft announced Windows 11. Not to the amount of fanfare that I was expecting. In fact, I think that my summary is that this announcement was a bit of a soft landing in my view. It didn't really change. I think during our last podcast, I had stated I had no premonitions or expectations around what this would be. And it turns out that was probably pretty safe assumption. Windows 11 adds a bunch of new capabilities to Windows. Windows is the rock bed foundation upon which most users expect to be working and working well. There are some old ideas that have creeped into Windows that have been around for a bit, that have gone away and now have come back with a vengeance, I guess. But generally speaking, it's not a radical shift away from what Windows is or what people come to expect with Windows. And I think that for a lot of people, this will be a easy upgrade, which I think is always the intent of Microsoft. Is they don't want to put too much. You don't want to move the cheese too much and get people to kind of reject the organ, so to speak. So I think Microsoft has made some incremental improvements here that I don't think are really going to you know, uh, hurt people's trust in Windows at all. I think it's more seen as just supplemental more than anything. And I think it remains to be seen as to, what people will think overall. But so far, it seems like most people are like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, so they overall just streamlined the design part of it. We showed kind of side by side what some of those crazy, like the old Windows, the new Windows, like side by side in Windows 10, like how that clashed and looked awkward. And it looks like they finally are fixing that in Windows
Yeah,
11. They
yeah,
have like a cohesive look and feel through the whole thing, which is nice. It looks like it does a proper dark and light theme. Uh, Also, this app here, this is the store, the Microsoft Store. And
hmm
I saw a tweet by one of the engineers that worked on it. And they said that the old store, the current one, uses HTML5 technology. And this has been completely rewritten with XAML technology. Like whatever, I don't know if it's UWP necessarily or
yeah,
WPF, but one of those flavors of
yep,
native desktop environment is what they went with. So that I thought that was pretty interesting that they backed off of the webified app stuff a little bit, considering how Office has gone in
yeah,
the current releases.
yeah.
There's also this idea of widgets again, which I think Microsoft's been trying to push widgets since
Everyone's been trying to push this
Windows
thing. Yeah,
ME, right?
yeah,
Or was it even earlier? Was it Windows 95?
Oh, it's yeah, widgets and the concept of widgets and push technologies, and I think Realcast was the first one to really espouse this, but widgets have been around forever. They're available on basically all versions of all operating systems, and I don't think they've really taken off in the way that people have. Well, I guess those people have expected them to take off. So, yeah.
Some of this stuff works in a mobile device. A little bit of a calendar overview is always nice to have on your mobile. The weather, of course. I don't know how useful this stuff is on a desktop, to be honest. We'll have to see, but it hasn't taken off yet. So,
well, we have seen it isn't. Like, I don't think anyone uses these features, right? These have been these features have been available forever, and no one uses them. So,
the whole here, I've got another slew of screenshots here we could talk about as well. This is from Thurrott.com, the Paul Thurrott post. He goes over it in detail here as well.
Sure.
But they've centered the start experience that we kind of had a feeling they were going to do with the leaks that we saw.
Yes.
Not a fan. Thankfully, from what I've seen, it docks also to the right or left-hand side.
Yes, I've read or heard that this can be docked to the left or right as well. So
they finally moved shut down and sign out to its own thing, so you don't have to start to shut down anymore.
Yeah, I know.
I guess it's still technically under start, but a little easier to see. All of the iconography and everything has been redone. File Explorer is fresh. The whole thing's been redesigned. I don't know why they didn't do this in Windows 10. They tried to push this Metro style theme, they used to call it, and they just kind of half baked it into the OS. But now it looks like they were able to overhaul the entire thing. And
like as a design language, this is continuing to evolve in itself. Like, they've made the windows rounded. They've really bumped up the translucency. They've done a lot of sort of things that there have been those experiments that Microsoft has added historically. Like, we saw this with Vista. We saw it in 10. We saw it with, there was these sort of competing interests like Windows Phone, etc., that kind of had had embedded its talons into the OS itself. I think Windows is going back to, look, Windows is its own thing. We're gonna improve it with an aesthetic that we believe in. I don't think there's much outside influence on this relative to other products, and I think that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, one thing that I found interesting about all this is Microsoft started the whole minimalist thing on Windows Phone, and then it took several years for Apple to jump on board and kind of claim that it was theirs. And now Windows 11 looks a lot like the latest version of the Mac OS.
Sure, there will be that accusation for sure.
Yeah, so it's gone back and forth. It's like Microsoft started it, Apple ended it, and Microsoft copied the final result.
Whatever. Copy, got inspiration from, right? Who knows?
Inspired by. And they're bringing Android apps to Windows 11 with
this
Amazon
one was actually something that caught me off guard. I didn't expect this to happen. And so Microsoft announced that they're going to be providing a facility for people who publish Android apps or make Android apps which are based on Java to Windows 11. And this is really, really interesting in a couple of ways. They're making them, first of all, available through Amazon's Android store, which is kind of interesting. People have cited concerns about that because I don't know how many people have used Android stores from Amazon, for example, but I've read that they wrap the app containers in telemetry that Amazon can pull. So that was one concern that I heard or read cited somewhere. The other one is obviously the fact that they're just littered with all these different types of apps. I don't know why or how this decision was made. I know that on the drawing board, if I had heard this and I was on the design team, I would be like, why are we doing this? Why? Like, does it speak to the fact that not enough developers are writing apps for Windows in itself? Or is it that Android apps are just that much better and we need to take advantage of that? I really feel like this is kind of a weird decision to me. And I haven't fully understood the reasons why for this. Maybe you can enlighten me, Ed. I don't know, but strategically, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the Windows Phone's coming back. Not as we knew it, but maybe as an Android device, like the Surface Duo is, but maybe not a Duo, but just a normal Surface phone that
All right.
isn't a giant foldable monstrosity that I don't really need. I mean, they're cool if you want that sort of thing, but I wouldn't mind just having a Surface phone that's an Android phone that has good hardware and a nice screen, and then I can, bring my apps over to my desktop. I mean, what's to say that's not going to happen?
Yeah. Ultimately, these experiences are weird though, because you have to carry over a lot of stuff that makes sense in that world to Windows. And I'm not thinking about folks like you or I. I'm thinking of folks like my dad or my mom, who's just, you're now having to explain to them, like, no, press the home button. And she's like, what's the home button? I don't understand. So I don't understand the motivation for this. I don't know why this is important. I'm probably thinking a little bit short term here, but I don't see the reasoning for this. But again, I'm willing to be educated. So
yeah. And Aztec says that the Android's apps are coming to the Quest 2. That makes a little more sense. Quest 2 is an Android platform already, but this is not. It could potentially be an ARM platform, but still is different OS. So you wonder how like things like photo sharing and accounts and things will be handled inside of this virtual phone environment that they've got.
It's weird. I don't understand the motivation of this, but that's me. So
that is strange.
Well, they needed to, I guess it's a low risk, maybe, I don't know. And they're just like, why not? Let's do it, and I don't know. It's one of those things that are just kind of confusing. So I don't see the long-term vision here.
Like I said, if there was a Windows Phone rebirth that used Android apps and Android operating system, but was put out by Microsoft, I mean, that would be pretty nice. I would buy one, possibly.
Ultimately, I think the OS should do just what the OS does, which is it's an operating system to talk to your hardware to provide a platform upon which you run apps. This smells to me like, hey, if we do this, then developers will build apps. And I don't know. It feels like look, just Windows should just be good at doing one thing, which is being Windows, and not try to be something else. And I think that you should invest more. This is me talking to Microsoft. You should invest more in bringing out Windows to be Windows. And it's like that spit and polish you were talking about earlier, about how in Windows 11 there doesn't appear to be that sort of jolting experience of apps that weren't converted. It seems like there's a consistent UI. To me, that should be the first and top priority about making Windows just a better experience, like improving apps. They should focus on things like that, like how we've improved Program Manager, or how we've improved Task Manager, like just the little things, like the things that people use every day. And those apps need improvement, believe me. Like there's some really bad utilities in Windows, and I know that if people are using those every day, then great. I don't think expanding the app capabilities of Windows was ever a problem. And this to me feels and smells like a weird way. Maybe it's just maybe this, and I'm speculating here. Maybe this is all just something that the press and people online have gravitated to and jumped on and said, wow, they can run Android apps. And maybe internally it's not such a big deal. I don't know, but it seems to me like the opportunity here is to improve upon what Windows itself is known for and capable of. But again, I don't know. I'm not fully aware of what's going on.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say, think about what they're up against with Apple.
Sure.
So you're on a Apple device on your desktop, and you have very similar, if not the same, apps that you have when you pick up your iOS device and walk away
Yes.
with it.
Yes.
And on Windows, you have your Windows apps, and then you have your Android device, and you don't have that cohesive ecosystem where your desktop and your phone have the same stuff.
It's just a jarring experience, though. You know what I mean? Like Apple has really refined that experience, and it's
Oh
almost to
yeah,
the point
don't
where,
disagree there.
yeah,
I'm just
it's
saying,
almost to the yeah. If you're part of that ecosystem and you've got Apple desktops and Apple devices, like mobile devices, that is a cohesive, seamless environment. This to me feels like you're putting spackle over top of a cracked wall, or you're putting tiles over top of your floorboards. You know, like this feels to me like you're trying to emulate what you're seeing elsewhere. You being collective you, the royal you. So
I
yeah,
mean,
that's
this
where I think it's going to fall down. But that's me.
whether it's a good experience or not, I think it is besides the point that I think they're trying to check a box,
Okay,
and they're like, I'm just speculating, but it's it's like, look, we can do this too, type of thing.
sure.
Whether it's a good experience or not is yet to be said, but think about what current state Windows 10 is in with the two different themes that it applies to everything, and where Windows 11 is. Maybe Windows 12, this, if it gets legs, I mean, who knows? I think they might be grasping at some straws here and, throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks, whatever metaphor you want to put on it.
Seems
But
like a big investment or risk to do. Like you're basically taking Windows, which
is it though?
well, it's just not a risk, but you know what I mean. Like this is now going to exist forever, right? Like you know how long the support cycle is for Windows, right? And you're embedding this into Windows, and so I don't know. It just seems like a big investment to me. But there you go.
Yeah, I mean, Bluestacks has been doing this for ages. That's why I kind of said it's
Okay,
not that big of an investment. You've heard of Bluestacks before, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
So Bluestacks was an Android device, I guess, virtual desktop or emulator, whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it. You can still get it, it looks like. I thought they got acquired by somebody pretty big in the relative short past, but I don't see it at the bottom or anything.
No.
It's still BlueStacks Inc. But I mean, you could just essentially install this thing, and then you have a device on your desktop that you can run Android apps on, and it does the exact same thing as this. So I guess BlueStacks, if they're not offering up this technology in some way or licensing to it, then they're probably in trouble because it looks like it's included in the platform now. But that same idea,
Sure.
same idea what BlueStacks has been doing for a long time, and
Yeah.
apparently they have some sort of business model around it because they still exist.
Well,
So
there you go.
we'll have to see. I don't know. I'm not saying I'd use it,
Yeah.
but
I
it's
think
there.
I think to summarize Windows 11, I have more questions than answers after the event. So
Yeah.
that's not a good thing for me, but for others, maybe they feel like yeah, this is the right way to go.
Does bring more apps to the app stores, chat says.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that a thing still? Are we still like, we have 11 billion apps and they don't? Are we still counting apps? Is that a thing we still do?
Yeah, it's like how insecure are you guys? Like it's like the billions and billions of hamburgers sold. I'm like, okay, we get it. You sell a lot of hamburgers. It's like I don't know. I mean, why not invest to make if TikTok or whatever app is missing from the ecosystem, why not partner with that company to make a great Windows version of that? I don't know.
I don't know,
That's the
but
way I would look at it.
this tube guy's about to get a Me Too HR visit. I
Yeah,
don't know
jeez.
I don't know where his hand's going there, but it's a family
Enough
show.
of that.
So your favorite topic, John, we're talking about
Yeah.
operating systems and the future of computing. Discord is getting into augmented reality now, and who was
Why?
it last week?
They're a chat app. Why?
It was who last week? I brought this up, and you're like, why would anyone want that? Was it Instagram?
Okay.
Was it Instagram that I was talking about, or
Well, they're owned
Snapchat?
by Facebook.
Snapchat.
Okay.
It was Snapchat last week. Snapchat bought an augmented reality company, and now Discord is buying an augmented reality company. The It hasn't caught mainstream. It will, and I think the big fish are circling around, trying to figure out who's got the best startup for this type of thing, and they're trying to make sure that they get ahead of the game. But I don't think anybody, quite frankly, knows what the heck they're doing yet. So I think this is just another one of those where they're like, we know this is the thing, but we don't know how it's the thing, so we're gonna just buy it. And hey, we're talking a startup that raised $37 million. That's a lot of money, Jesus. And now they've been purchased by Discord, which I'm not familiar with how big Discord is. I know it's very popular. I don't know how big it is as a company though. But this is all like Jabberwocky stuff here. Our mission at Ubiquity has always been to unlock new ways for people to connect through shared experiences. Boy, the marketing person that wrote that, it's like boilerplate stuff here. I'd have to see it to believe it. I don't know. This seems like more, what do you call these things? Like these social gaming platforms. And I don't know. I think you need some kind of device to go with this. And Snapchat at least had a device as goofy as it looked. Remember the big square, like giant glasses? Yeah.
I don't have
We'll
much
keep
to say on
watching
this.
these. I know.
Yeah, well, I don't understand, but that's common in my life. I don't understand a lot of things. So,
Let's see. Oh, I didn't mean to go over a link we had in there. I was just trying to see what this Ubiquity 6, like if they have any other marketing materials out there, like what it is exactly they're doing. But I love the idea of AR. We need a device. We don't have the device yet, and everything we keep seeing is just goofy stuff. And nobody's going to wear it. And until people wear it, it's not going to catch on. It's a shame. We need
no comment.
HoloLenses that fit
Nope.
in normal glasses. That's all I'm saying,
Nope.
John.
Nope.
All right.
I,
I'll convert you
I have
someday.
enough problem. Look,
I
have enough
converted
trouble trying
Alyssa to Windows, okay?
I have enough trouble trying to convince people that contact lenses aren't that bad. So sure, but that's the form factor people want, is just a lens they can pop on their eyeball and give them AR capabilities. I don't think it's going to be a starter, but that's me.
I already got 5G through my COVID shot, so I need
Perfect.
something to put on my face now to display all the stuff I can get over my 5G connection.
Right. Perfect.
You're starting to wonder why you do the show still, John.
No, it's all good.
And last call, nice blog, but looks like they owe you a logo, John.
Nah, it's all good. Octopus is common sort of moniker for a lot of technology.
I'm just teasing.
Yep.
Nice article here, because this is a really good topic for folks that are looking at gRPC and wondering, why should I use gRPC when I've been using REST all this time? And, there's a good amount of confusion around these things. And if you're in the .NET space, there's also SignalR. So this gives you kind of the gist of what REST is versus what a remote procedure call is, how they differ, and what some of the use cases are. What do you
Sure.
need these two different things for? And I this is great. I wish I would have thought of doing this. This is a really nice kind of summary of what the two things are.
Yeah, the winner here for me, and I have looked at this quite extensively. The winner here for me is neither, but I think one of the more compelling aspects of using these technologies is for code generation. And when it comes to REST, the code generation tools that are out there are wide and varied, and they don't do a perfect They don't do a perfect job of describing of generating the code to talk to these types of endpoints. The format
Hmm.
we use today is OpenAPI, based on Swagger, and it does a reasonably good job. But the problem is, it doesn't do a perfect job. Now, conversely, on the gRPC side, that's based on what are called protocol buffers, which are a framework neutral, language neutral way of describing basically a form of types and messages, etc., etc. The code generation aspects there are pretty good. From what I've seen, they do cover a wide gamut of useful programming languages. I think that's really where developers need these technologies to go. Is there needs to be good fidelity between the program description or the protocol description and the generated code from it. I know that there's a project up on GitHub for doing this called Coyote from Microsoft, and they're doing that for based on OpenAPI. So it's basically a battle of the protocols here, and I think largely people understand REST quite well based on the verbs that are available, which is
Hmm.
ultimately all you really need. You gets, puts, posts, etc., and deletes. Those are the CRUD operations that you'll utilize, and it leverages the existing protocol stacks that are available today, which is based on the web. So I think that this is really where I think most developers are going to go. I think they're going to stick with the web because that's the predominant sort of way of approaching these things. They're firewall friendly, they're internet friendly, et cetera, et cetera. But the tooling is where I think it's going to be the real hard work needs to be done. And so for me, I would like to see better code generation here. We need full fidelity code generation. That is, I can describe an
Hmm.
API and get a perfect sort of representation of that in a client and in a server through a tool. That's what I want.
Yeah, and just speaking from what I know, .NET does that really well. I don't know about the JavaScript or Java or Ruby side of all of this, but .NET does it very well. So it will generate classes off of a protobuf file, uh, just kind of magically. So it's really come a long way with the .NET folks. They've really jumped on the gRPC stuff at Microsoft early. So I think it's going to be a positive experience there. I think in kind of the message of the article here, it's really nice to see a breakdown of kind of the real basics for people that are maybe doing REST but not knowing, exactly what REST is. There's a lot of us that just consume endpoints and don't really develop them and things like that. And there's this new gRPC thing that's come along, and we're starting to hear about it. What is the difference? And I think this is a good way to kind of break those things down. Um, I would like to see a little bit more examples with this. I mean, it talks about the benefits and stuff, but I'd like to see some code samples in here
Okay.
of how um, you know the only thing I know in this world is .NET, but how does one of the protobuf files actually become part of your application, and how does it get mapped in and stuff like that. But it's a good kind of um, introduction to the topic, I think.
Okay.
So if you haven't checked out gRPC yet, it's very interesting. It's probably one of the future ways we'll do web development, or just not even web development so much as that client server architecture that REST currently fits, the Internet of all things. but this is a little more structured, like you'd expect it to be in like a desktop application. Reminds me a lot of desktop programming,
Mm,
where the resources feel like they're on the device more than they do disconnected, like it does in REST.
mm.
So it's definitely worth doing some research on and seeing if any of this RPC stuff, or even Signal R, which is an RPC like language, or not language, but framework, fits in your next app. Speaking of replacing things with other things, John,
You with the
this
segues.
topic, I know, right? I'm getting good at this. I think maybe I'm a little over the JavaScript ecosystem stuff. I'm still hurting from the Angular 2 days when
All
this
right.
was like the topic of the week. Like, what are we going to replace Webpack with? Is it going to be Yarn? What are we going to replace Yarn with? Is it going to be something Pack, Rat, Pack
Pack pack.
JS, Pacman JS? I
Sure.
don't know. There was a new one every week. It looks like npm still the king of that package management ecosystem, but now there's one called Bit. Is Bit the new package registry? So Bit is yet another way to distribute your packages. Um, I haven't had any experience with it yet, but matter of fact, reading this article, is the first I'd ever heard of it.
Mm.
And makes me kind of wonder, like we have Yarn, but Yarn is kind of like a duplicate of, it's more npm really. So do you think there's more room in the ecosystem for another one of these
There's
things,
always
John?
room. There's always room. I think that npm has served a good purpose for a very long time, and I think that they have the benefit of being the incumbent, but they also have the hindrance of being the incumbent. And so I think for that reason, I think I welcome anyone who can come along and offer a good competition to push the state of the art forward.
Hmm.
That being said, I don't think npm is as bad as people think. So I think npm provides some nice capabilities. I've used it for a long, long time. I'm interested in anything that offers a compatible and uh, evolutionary style of package management relative to your web apps.
Hmm.
So I don't really have much of an opinion on this, other than I wish both teams well, and I hope that may the best team win, et cetera, et cetera. And I hope the ideas kind of play out well. And this is not an easy problem, believe me. This is tough, and even the diagrams themselves make it look easier than it actually, or make it look a lot simpler. Excuse me, not easy, simpler than what the reality can be. The reality can be very complex. So I wish them all the best in their endeavors. This is like, I think a few episodes ago, I would talk a little bit about compilers and how difficult they are. This is probably the next hardest problem, I think, in terms of just managing all this stuff. After you've compiled your stuff, you got to kind of sort through all the various versions of it. This is a very hard problem as well.
Yeah, I think NuGet has done a good job with this. I know very little about the other ecosystems. There's Rust has crates, and Ruby has gems. The Ruby stuff's been pretty reliable too, from what I've experienced. But I've always struggled with the JavaScript packaging stuff. It's always been clunky for me. Your node modules folder ends up being this gigantic thing that takes up half your hard drive and fragments the living heck out of it.
Yeah,
And publishing to it isn't, quite intuitive, because of ES6 and NP, all the different module patterns that JavaScript adopted over the years.
sure.
Uh, I don't know if it's more inherent of just JavaScript or if it's an NPM thing, but I have yet to have a good experience in that realm. So if they can fix it, more power to them. That's all I have to say. I think there's just some things that you can't get past, like I was saying, all the different module patterns. I mean, is this something I can use for the web, or is it for a node only on the server? I need to research more and see if this is something I can use everywhere, and does it fix the scenarios I was talking about? But hopefully, if anything, competition from something else gets NPM to solve more problems too.
Yep.
Competition's always good, right?
Yes.
Speaking of weird JavaScript stuff, JavaScript is weird.
Yes.
Is it because of all those module patterns? Who knows? What is this all about, John?
Yeah, this is a website that was put up. It's kind of like a quiz. JSisweird.com. It basically walks you step by step through these sort of things that you see in JavaScript all the time, and you can answer these and see what you think, and you can just click AAA, I guess, or the first ones if you want. But yeah, JavaScript does have some quirks. The fact that you've got a language that has a very popular book, which is entitled, The Good Parts, kind of tells you a little bit about that. And a lot of these circle around, string concatenation, what you expect to be as types, etc., what JavaScript does. I think it gets kind of unfairly maligned. There are reasons why JavaScript is the way it is. It was written quite quickly. To support scripting in terms of Netscape Navigator, which, some folks may be too young to know what is, but yeah, so a quiz like this allows you to kind of walk step by step and explore the more interesting, I guess, in air quotes, parts of JavaScript. And so I like little quizzes like this. These are kind of fun. This actually is very much along the lines of the Watt presentation, which talks about JavaScript and other languages. You'll find on YouTube, just search for WAT or WAT. And one of the languages that gets kind of not unfairly, but rightfully made fun of is JavaScript.
I'm trying to get to the end of it so I can see.
I would just click random
what the
ones
results are here.
Yeah, just click whatever.
There's 25 things in here. Let's see what we get out of this. I got 7.
25. Perfect.
7 correct.
Awesome.
I kind of gave up halfway through.
Yeah, you gave up after a while.
Answered incorrectly on this one. Let's see. Let's look at a few of these real quick. True plus false is 1. The length of 3 commas is 0. There's
the answer was
compiler,
the output is 3, not 0. You answered 0. The output is 3.
Oh, I answered 0. The output's 3. There's compiler, if you want to call it that, interpreter reasons that a lot of these things happen. One of them for sure is this. So this is a floating point rounding thing. I was trying to tell Alyssa about this the other day. She was asking about why does .NET have like 5 types for numbers or whatever it is? And I was like, because we want to avoid
numbers
things
aren't
like
terribly
this.
accurate. Yeah, numbers are not very, very accurate.
So this is represented differently if you look at the full memory space for 0.2. It's like 0.2 something 2 or something like that, and there's rounding errors that get, or rounding, I can't remember what they're called, but they get rounded up to this 4. And you can fix this in .NET with the float type, I believe. Float will actually give you the correct answer. But yeah, these are weird. They're not errors though, is what always boggles
Sorry, what's
my
that?
mind.
0 divided by 0? You just scrolled past it. I want to know what that is. You answered infinity, not
a number. Yeah. So here's a real fun one. This is not a JavaScript thing, John. This is a real world universe thing. Can you have infinity? Can you have more than one infinity, but have 2 infinities of different sizes?
Well, I know that when scientists start calculating things and their math comes out to infinity, that generally means we don't know.
It depends on the scale. I was watching a really interesting math documentary about this, and if you have a scale of numbers that say you've got, let's use computer, terminology, or use types. If you have an integer scale and it's infinity, and then you have a floating point scale that's infinity, the floating point scale is a much larger infinity than the integer infinity is.
All right.
You're like, sure, okay. If you say so. I'm not going to argue
Sure.
that one. Because of the distance between the numbers. You've got, distance between an integer, 1 and 2 is 1. The distance between two decimals is point whatever. So that infinity ends up being larger than the other infinity. My infinity's bigger than yours, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
My
My dad can beat
dad
up
can
your
beat
dad.
up your dad.
Yep.
Yeah. In case anybody misinterpreted what I just said. All right. Behind the scenes with AWS Lambda. What's this about,
Yeah.
John?
AWS Lambda is extremely popular for building out, sort of event-driven serverless computing, available from Amazon. A lot of developers build on top of this, or Azure Functions, or whatever Google's calling them. So all the cloud providers have this sort of serverless aspect, compute aspect to them. And this is a behind the scenes article on what is actually happening with AWS Lambda when you push code to it. And so I thought this was a very nice sort of summary, in case you were interested as to what actually occurs when you push a zip archive up to AWS Lambda to host your serverless code. So it's a kind of a neat walkthrough as to what they do behind the scenes to make this all kind of hang together. I like articles like this in case you're dealing with them and you're looking for, if you're dealing with them and you're kind of wondering what's happening behind the scenes, just kind of like pull the kimono back, or pull the, don't ignore the man behind the curtain, but actually talk to him. This is kind of giving you that answer. And so I thought this was kind of a neat article.
I'd love to watch some videos on load balancing and scaling sometime. I never plan on like getting into that space, but I just find it fascinating that people are able to think about scaling these things up and load balancing them to the point
Sure.
that they do. It's
Yeah.
fascinating work. I don't feel like, I mean, it's not one of the things that I would ever get into myself, but I still find it fascinating type of thing.
Yeah. Moving to containers is really kind of changed. Like I think the evolution of containers and distributing through containers and utilizing Kubernetes and going with that approach really does have really tangible benefits that I am just starting to realize myself. And when you kind of offload that responsibility to a platform that allows you to just move and lift and shift those things over, it really does provide a powerful mechanism. And so I think the thing that's worth noting here is the reliance here on containerization. Really does help. It's not just for sys engineers or sysops people anymore. I think developers really should think about it in terms of future scale, relative to their app. It really does help.
I'm gonna take things down a notch for a second. Can system engineers come up with a better word for shard or sharding? Because
Yeah.
every time I've got a 12-year-old conscience or inner monologue, and every time I hear somebody say sharding, I totally hear something else.
I think of a
And
shard as terms of cutting a diamond, right? Like you get these shards of elements coming out, I guess.
yeah, I
So
I get it, but when you're hearing somebody talk, you need to hit the D really hard. Otherwise, it sounds terrible. You
okay.
start talking about sharding, and like I said, I've got this inner voice that's like tee hee hee.
Okay.
Partitioning. Let's say partitioning. Can we say partitioning?
Sure. It's a bit an
So
overused, but yeah.
come on, you know where I'm going with that. And
Yes.
just to circle back real quick, I found this real fast while we were talking. Not all infinities are equal. There we go. The smallest infinity. a natural number, an unequal infinity, real numbers. This is what I was getting at. They're different sizes. I thought that was cool.
You think that's cool?
I think that's cool.
Okay.
I think math is very cool. Project planning for developers. All right, is something I need to pay attention to because I'm terrible at this.
GitHub, GitHub had introduced. They announced this as part of a beta. We signed up for it. A bunch of folks I know have. I haven't gotten approved yet, but basically they're taking the next step in terms of issues. Issues are the lifeblood of any open source project that's hosted up on GitHub. It allows your users to inform you of bugs or feature requests, but they've been a bit unwieldy as you get thousands and thousands of these things. Trying to label all of them and trying to sort them and delegate them and assign them, etc., can be a bit tough. And so now. And one of the things is GitHub has had project management capabilities for a bit. They have integration with projects, but there's never been a good sort of connection between issues, projects, etc. I mean, you can do it through, resolution of issue numbers, etc., but it hasn't been seamless. And so now what they're adding is the ability to organize these issues in the form of a sort of like a table. It's very Trello-like. It adds a bunch of new capabilities to issues. I think this is a good thing. They've got to basically evolve the way in which issues are done in GitHub. And so they now have a sign-up page for the beta. And this will be the evolution of issues with GitHub in the future.
This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I wonder how open the beta is. I'll probably research it more before I try to sign up, but I like the idea. I'm a big fan of Trello. We mentioned it before. We'll prep for the show using Trello. I have household tasks on my Trello for getting home improvement things done and quoting things and shopping lists and all of that. So Trello's one of the things I reach for a lot. So if this is familiar to me, I could gravitate towards it.
Okay.
Very cool. 7 lessons from 10 outages. I'm assuming these are computer related outages, not electric grid related outages.
Yeah. They're basically things that oops is what you say afterwards. And this is from a podcast, The Downtime Project, where they kind of cite some good examples of what happened in certain cases when they pushed out new deployments, etc. I'm not going to articulate all of them here. You can read them yourself, but I thought that this is a great summary of what can happen in a real world sense. So it's important to try and learn from the mistakes of others, and I think we've got countless examples of that. And I think they did a good job of summarizing what went wrong in these cases. And if it's not DNS, it's DNS.
This reminds me of a talk that Jimmy Bogard gave on microservices. He's got a really excellent talk. If you haven't seen it, just Google Jimmy Bogard microservices. You'll probably find it. So he's a friend from the kind of speaker community and .NET community. And he's got this great talk that he does about microservices and how he went in and kind of re-engineered this microservice architecture for a client because it was just so bad. Like they had some of the issues that are mentioned in here, like circular dependencies and stuff among microservices. So if one went out, the entire thing would just come crashing like a house of cards. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, Jimmy Bogard really does know his stuff. He's somebody definitely to follow. And read his blog posts and stuff. But yeah, I like this type of thing. It's real world things that happened and how we figured out what was wrong and how we solved it and slapped ourselves on the wrist not to do it again. Very good. And void middle magic in databases. Oh boy. This sounds like something I've implemented myself before.
There's your word.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I mean, it should just say lesson 3, who sharded? And I think that would that would be a much better headline. That's clickbait right there. It'd be a great bumper sticker or T-shirt. I think. Should we have merch, John?
Who sharded? Yeah.
The Who Sharded shirt.
Yeah.
That's with a D, so I mean it's not as lowbrow as it sounds, but it does prove my point that the word could use some improvement.
All right.
You're like, moving on. You're not gonna let me take this show down in the gutter.
That's fine.
This is a window. Let me back up a second.
I
This
think you're in
is
a new
comparing-
tab. There you go.
yeah,
Yeah.
This is why not Win 11, and I think this is the can we upgrade. I meant to. Oh, I keep clicking that thing. I think I meant to show this in the earlier segment on Windows 11, but this is fine
Yeah.
now. I think this is like who can and who can't upgrade, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's been some commentary about this around the hardware requirements for Windows 11. And so people have rightfully, or maybe not rightfully, complained about the fact that, Windows 11 doesn't really push the envelope in terms of what you need to run this operating system. But to its own credit, Microsoft is getting rid of some of the requirements that have been around forever. And so this is a little utility you can run that will tell you whether or not your machine will be capable or compatible with Windows 11 when it ships. And so it goes through all the well-stated requirements, things that are legacy or not supported, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a little utility that will give you those updates.
Yeah, the one that really threw me, I read a whole thing about this the other day, was this TPM version. This is,
Sure.
what does this stand for again?
Trusted Platform Module, I think.
Yes.
Something like
Yep,
that.
you got it. Trusted Platform Module. It's a piece of hardware that basically, it's like a hardware version of an SSL certificate for your machine type of thing. That's my elevator pitch for it. This one, I was reading this article about how scary this is. You're not going to be able to upgrade to Windows 11. And then at the end of the article, it was like, if you've bought a modern CPU in the last 5 years, it's already got this on it. So don't worry. Like, oh my gosh, why didn't they just start with that? So I didn't have to read all this nonsense. So basically, it is a add-on module for old machines. But if you've got something like a Intel or AMD machine that's been built within the last few years, it's integrated into the die of the CPU now. So this probably isn't such an issue. But this is a cool little tool, it looks like, to just run and get an answer of what you need to be compatible with Windows 11 if that's something you're interested in doing. Like it. Very cool. AWS bug bust.
Yeah. There's obviously a lot of people using AWS. And so, this is basically an article that details a program that Amazon is coming out with. So bug bust is first global, as it says, bug busting challenge. So you can go in and try and, compromise or thwart the engineers at Amazon. And I think this is a good thing. You want to try and bring systems down or find problems, et cetera, et cetera. This is one way to do it. And you offer up prizes and go try and this is obviously trying to fix a lot of the bugs obviously that are present there. So
well, I wish Amazon would do this with some of their terrible hardware I keep buying.
Okay.
Sorry, I mean to go negative on you, Amazon, but you make some pretty terrible hardware. This is cool. They're doing this for their software, which is completely separate topic in probably organization than their software. No, I like events like this. I think it's cool. It's kind of like a hackathon, but kind of like a white hat, but you're not necessarily hacking. You're finding bugs, not security loopholes. But it's kind of in the same genre, I guess.
I should be clear.
Breaking it for the greater good.
Yeah, I should be clear. This isn't targeting AWS. I misspoke. This is basically providing they're providing an environment that will allow you to find, bugs and fixing them, and it's a competition that will allow you to do that. Sorry, I misspoke. I misread this when I first read this. So
Okay.
yeah, so it's basically a competition to try and get you versed with using AWS and using tools like Code Guru, and then providing a competition space for
Oh,
people
okay.
to participate. Sorry, I misspoke. Sorry.
Yeah, I've seen the other thing that we talked about as well. So I've seen companies go out and say, if you can find bugs and report
Yeah,
them
those are
and
bug bounty
help us,
programs.
yeah, bug bounties.
Yeah, that's where I went with my brain when I first saw this. Sorry, I misread this, but this is an environment to try and find bugs in a pre-canned solution, I guess. So
And sorry about my personal gripes with the Kindle Fire and the what's the other one that I had to? Oh, the Fire TV. If it has the word fire in it, yeah, just don't. Just turn the other way.
okay,
Just saying. Just saying. Fool me once. You know what I mean? Fool
shame
me
on you,
twice.
shame on me.
Yeah. Second
Yeah.
time, I should have just known better. Announcing Maui Preview 5. All the things, all the .NET things previewed to 5 this last week or the week before. It's they move fast on this stuff. But latest version of Maui is out. All the latest .NET things are out. So there's some new animation updates. This app, by the way, very cool. If you haven't tried this out yet, you can build this through Blazor or Maui, and it is kind of a write once, deploy everywhere app that you can build with .NET in a couple different ways. You can build it with XAML or you can build it with the web. Maui has UI components, which Telerik has UI components for Maui now. So that's something that should be pretty cool.
It's the most nondescriptor I've ever heard. That's something.
It's something. Well, it's brand new. It's a brand new thing. I don't know too much about it other than we released it. Sambasu is our Maui expert on the Xamarin side of things, or the what do you call it? Oh, I don't even know if this is under mobile. Yeah, it is under mobile. Telerik UI for Maui, but Sam's the expert on the XAML side of the .NET ecosystem, and I do the web stuff. And all of the Telerik UI for Blazor stuff works in Maui, or not Maui, but Blazor Hybrid, which is a kind of a Maui fork, I guess. But the Maui stuff is a thing of its own. I mean, it's XAML based, and we have UI components for that. And it's a new thing, and you can try that out. So we're doing experiments on that right now. And when we do experiments, we usually do an extended free trial. And that's a free trial that's different than other free trials. Like, it will keep going. Like, we're not selling this right now. So until we have a official release version, you can try and keep using the beta until it's a real boy, and then the trial will end. But it's going to be a little bit. So if you want to experiment with us, try that out. So Telerik UI, or telerik.com/Maui-UI. And then, the release is here for the latest preview. You can see if the latest Telerik Maui works with the latest Microsoft Maui. So this tells you how to get it all set up. The real key to all of this is running Maui check and installing the 4 or 5 SDKs. Somebody was asking me about this on Twitter. They're like, why do I have to install the Android SDK when I don't want to do, because Maui runs everywhere. You need all the SDKs for all the things. That's why. I didn't make it. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm sorry you have to install another 8 gigs on your 5 terabyte hard drive, but that's the way this works. You run Maui check, you install all the SDKs, and you run this beautiful app here, and it runs on all the platforms. It's really cool, John.
All right, that's all I got
That
to
was
say.
you still not convinced?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So
good. Please keep going.
I I
That's
have
not me to you. That's me to Microsoft. I'm like, please keep going. So
yeah, I've kind of gotten numb to it. So I've got all of the SDKs for all the things.
sure.
No, actually, it's a good conversation to have. I tease Sam all the time about this because Sam used to be the biggest worrier of hard drive space, and it's like hard drives are like the cheapest part of your system. Yeah, we don't need to install like everything that we see that's shiny, but are you gonna really run out of space? Are you? Are you, Sam? He used to get mad at Visual Studio installers. He's like, there's
Sure.
so much to install with Visual Studio. I'm like, dude,
Yep.
you're going to be fine. You're not going to run out of space. It's okay. It's okay. But anyway, I'm just having fun. Yeah, I can get that too. Like, I had a problem with this. Your concern is very legitimate. If you look at the latest release for ASP.NET, I've got to bring this up real quick, John. ASP.NET Preview 6, there was a conflict. So, to your point, is that fuel? Am I saying that right? To your point, if we look at this is preview 4, I want preview 6. There's a conflict between, oh, really? Preview 4 is now available. I get that. Where's the preview 6 post? Anyway, if you scroll down to the bottom of the preview 6 post, you have to go like find an SDK directory and remove all the Android SDKs to get Blazor to work because it does exactly what you're worried about. So there's one of the SDKs junks up your builds. So that is a thing. And it threw me for a loop on Friday. It took me about 30 minutes to figure out what was going on. So anyway, I don't know, why is this popping up stuff? Anyway, my old man rants are over, John. Do you have any
Yep.
to add?
Nope. I just think that when Windows 11 ships, it will be interesting to see what people think, the reception that is. I think that in the meantime, we've got enough work ahead of us as far as development is concerned. So, good luck to all you folks out there. Be strong. Keep developing. Keep coding. Hopefully, something new will come on the horizon that will help us all. Bit sounds interesting over NPM. I'm definitely excited about some of the things that are coming on the horizon. I know that people are going to be opinionated about Windows, but we eventually either take one or the other, I think, at some point. And, I don't think you can resist the evolution of technology unless you're buying your components off eBay. So I think that...
It's off eBay.
I think eventually you're going to have to use it.
Can we do that? Is that a thing? I'm just curious.
Hey, I've heard stories of people who are like, listen, rather than upgrade the software, let's just buy the replacement hardware components that are 30 years old off eBay.
Oh, I was thinking, yeah, never mind. I was thinking UI components because, work.
Yeah.
I was like,
Sure.
do they have UI components on eBay now? Because
That'd
nothing
be awesome,
surprises me
Maybe
anymore.
one day we will be there where you can buy your software off of eBay. That'd be awesome.
I mean, maybe that's where that's where we need to sell it. Maybe that's where the market's at. So
Right.
maybe we've been doing it wrong this whole time.
Cool.
I was trying to do something here. See if we've got any raids available. We can go raid. We found a new place to raid, John. As if we haven't found enough crazy things to do on this channel. And it's Monday, and next week, by the way, no show because of the U.S. holidays. We've got the 4th of July week coming up, and pretty much nobody's working that week. So no show next week, but all week long we have shows here on our channel. We've got VR shows and React and Maui and Xamarin, all of those things. And then, of course, we have the ability to raid amazing channels like Our Chicken Life. Have you seen this yet, John?
No,
Yep. Okay.
but I have a suspicion you're about to tell me.
You assumed correctly, my friend. So here, I'm going to try to bring this up on a tab here so we can actually see. This is where we're going to rate because it's funny to send our lovely viewers here to visit Our Chicken Life. 'Cause for some reason, chickens got to be the theme. Oh, really? Chickens got to be the theme of our channel somehow. So one day I was looking for a channel to raid, and this came up. And I figured, why not embrace the chicken aspect of our channel?
Sure.
So this is a live stream of a chicken farm. And I believe subscribers and stuff can do things like feed the chickens and drop apples to the chickens and all sorts of things. This is where the internet has gone, John.
I
This
love
is
chickens. They're awesome. I used to have a couple. They're great. They're very, very. They've got their own personalities and everything. They're hilarious. I love chickens.
So what better way to close out the show than to raid
Sure. Okay.
we're gonna raid Our Chicken Life. So thank you all for joining us for our crazy old man rants this week. And we'll see you in 2 weeks after the 4th of July holiday here in the US. Enjoy your week. Visit us on Code It Live. Make sure you hit follow and enjoy the chickens. Bye bye.